Hello and welcome to Trailblazers. My name is Sim Nongauza. This show is the show that gets you moving, exploring, and soaking up the great outdoors. Today we're talking all things nature, conservation, and also hiking as well. And I am joined by Graeme Pienaar, who will be sharing everything nature and hiking guide. Let me welcome you into the show, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm very well, thank you, and thanks for having me here.
I'm glad you are here. But before we get into our business of the interview, I would like to know who Graeme is and what does he do besides being a nature and hiking guide.
Okay, so I am a qualified nature conservator
Okay.
based in Quebec. I have been in the ecotourism and conservation line for around 30 years. My main focus at the moment is working as a freelance nature and hiking guide, but I also do a few other types of environmental related
Okay, so I
jobs.
see. I see. This is your field. This is your field.
Yeah, very much. I'm really into leading guided experiences and teaching people about the environment and about nature and just showing them the awesome, incredible species richness and biodiversity that we have in this greater Quebec area. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, speaking of teaching people, when and what inspired you to become nature and a hiking guide?
Um, it would have a lot to do with my upbringing, growing up in this region and visiting all different interesting nature reserves, mountains, beaches, forests. We are pretty spoilt
Okay.
living in this area, and I think that initial passion sort of got me into doing a diploma in nature conservation, and I've never really looked back since doing that. It's just been a lifelong interest, and it's a continual learning game. You know, when you start getting into this, you just start finding new and interesting things all over the show, and it's just one big eye opener, and it's just so much to see. And we are really lucky to be in an area which has just in the Quebec region itself, we've got 5 biomes, and biomes are areas where you have specific plants, but with those plants you also have specific animals and associated ecosystems.
Sure.
And that means serious biodiversity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of your background and you growing up into this, what does nature mean to you personally?
It's it's quite a few different things, I would think.
Okay.
It's on a sensory level. I'd have to say that I thoroughly enjoy interacting with people and
Okay.
using all of my senses, textures, touching plants, touching trees. Obviously, being aware which ones you can touch, which ones you can't touch, and obviously also being aware of not damaging or being sensitive to what you're doing. Smelling, there's a tremendous amount of fantastic smells out in the bush, whether you're in the fynbos or in the thicket or even in the forest. Obviously, looking, the landscapes are incredible, the colors are incredible. There's great bird life,
Yeah.
colorful birds, and sometimes even tasting.
Okay.
I also lead foraging walks from time to time, which introduces people to traditional uses of plants, which ones are edible, which ones are toxic and medicinal. But one obviously has to be aware there that you cannot just pick any plant and taste it.
Yes.
And you also have to be aware of where you are doing that, because in some areas you're not supposed to pick certain plants, and it's all about sustainability and about being ecologically sensitive and responsible as well. Yeah.
Wow. It reminds me of when I was speaking to you of is saying that sometimes we do need hiking guides to tell you that even if you see how beautiful that plant is, maybe you're not even supposed to touch it. Right? So, well, thank you for touching on that. So, what types of terrain or ecosystems do you specialize in?
Really, all the different ecosystems and terrains that we have in this greater Quebec area. I mean, we've got an incredible coastline
Okay.
with some fantastic nature reserves. Capricorn, Sacramento and Sardinia Bay Nature Reserve, Silvic Nature Reserve, the Maitland coastline, forests, indigenous forests, which all harbour different types of indigenous coastal forest communities, many of which are threatened or vulnerable or even endangered. So they're sensitive environments, but beautiful environments. Fynbos, like Van Staden's Wildflower Reserve, is very well known for its fynbos. The mountainous areas, we have the Zooberg out just past Addo National Park. It's actually part of Addo National Park as well, but it's part of the main camp section, which we all know. Beautiful mountains as well, also with forest, thicket and fynbos. And areas like Grindal Wilderness Area or Grindal Nature Reserve, which has an incredible biodiversity and array of all different types of creatures, from the tiniest insects to the most interesting fungi, to obviously bird life, colours, species, river gorges, massive trees, endangered trees, endemic species, lots of threatened, vulnerable species. Yeah, it's just a big eye-opener. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure Idaho has a lot of this. So what role do you think nature or hiking guides play in fostering environmental awareness and conservation?
Well, I think through channels like this,
Okay.
this can certainly create very good awareness. Just the discussion we're having now,
Yes.
social media plays a role as well. I'm trying to become more proactive in that line. We also do try and encourage folks through social gatherings. I belong to a dendrological society, a local dendrological society, which means tree society in essence, and botanical society as well. But our dendrological society is growing in popularity. We have an outing the last Sunday of every month, and that visits different areas of interest where people learn a tremendous amount. Often there's folks from different backgrounds. There might be botanists, geologists, zoologists, paleontologists, archaeologists, historians. And all of that information and knowledge is sort of pooled in these outings, and people just go away feeling so much more richer, thinking to themselves, wow, I never knew that we had that right here on our doorstep.
Yes.
So it's an eye opener, brain opener. It's really cool. So those are the types of channels I like to do. I also like to lead guided hikes, and I'd like to become more active in going to school groups.
Okay.
And educating kids.
Yeah.
Which some environmental organisations like Raggy Charters are very involved in at the moment. So I'd like to up my game there as well. And so those are sort of the main channels, but just general awareness. On my guided walks, I do my best to impart a message to folks to, let them know that once they've left an area, they've learnt about the area, and they might not have known before that there were 100 threatened species, plant species or bird species in that area, and they might have been in a critically endangered vegetation type. So all of those things play a role.
How do you incorporate the leave no trace principles in your nature and hiking guides trips?
Okay, that really comes down to just having a discussion with folks before the trail actually begins, and discussing sensitivity to the environment that we might be walking in, the importance of staying on paths, not damaging anything, not picking anything without getting permission first. Obviously, if you're in a protected area, you're not allowed to pick anything, but in areas outside of protected areas, we do sometimes pick the odd plant species. But I also just want to mention that it's important not to pick up rocks and make cairns. People often have a habit of doing that on trails. And
they do.
It's actually not really the right thing to be doing, because not only are you disturbing sensitive microhabitats where you may have insects and small creatures living, but you're also defacing the environment in making like a large rock cairn, which wasn't there before. And it's the trail managers or the guys who look after the trails, their job really is to make sure the route's marked well. But picking up rocks and moving them around and putting cairns is not really ecologically responsible. So I mentioned that as well. And so just obviously never any littering. Littering is another problem we do find on our trails. People do still litter. That's a big no-no. and sometimes we even go along with a bag, a litter bag,
Yeah.
and actually pick up litter on a guided hike, or even go on organized litter
Hikes.
cleanups.
Okay.
So all of those sorts of things, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it's one of the most common mistakes that hikers do, picking up things and leaving. Also, the littering, to be precise. And I think that's one of the common mistakes that hikers do. And I must say that it should be something that is everybody who's going on a trail should take a note of. And speaking of that, how do you handle different personalities and groups of people when you're hiking trips?
Yeah, I think the important thing is just to be aware of everybody's fitness levels and abilities and requirements or expectations
Yes.
before going on a hike. And I try and do that. If it's an educational hike which I'm leading, I normally form a little group beforehand and make sure everybody's on the same page with
Yes.
regard to what's going to be happening, how far we're walking, where we're going to be walking, level of difficulty. And so we make sure that if someone doesn't think they're going to be capable of doing it, then they are aware it might be quite difficult. But in saying that as well, sometimes we do trails where there are escape routes or shorter variations possible. So if some folks want to do longer than 10 kilometers, the trail can be longer than 10 kilometers. But if some folks want to do only 3 or 4 kilometers, they can leave at a certain point. So there's different ways of managing things in that regard, and just being sensitive to people on the trail itself, having regular breaks, regular stops for refreshments, food, communicating,
Yeah.
seeing if people are okay, a thumbs up,
Yeah.
and not getting too spaced out. You
Yes.
don't want anybody too far back or too far ahead.
Yes.
We stay as a group for safety reasons and because the hikes are interpretive and interactive. So I don't want anyone missing out on what the group's discussing.
Definitely. I wouldn't be one of those people missing out. Yeah. All right, before I let you go, you spoke about biodiversity. Please tell me briefly about that.
Okay, we really have exceptional biodiversity. Biodiversity refers to number of species
Yes.
in a specific area, and that refers to all different types of species. So if you're walking along the beach, we've got something like, I think, 10% of all marine biodiversity in South Africa.
Wow.
And that includes plants, different seaweeds and things, but it also includes a tremendous amount of marine life. Not just the big whales and dolphins and the fish and sharks and things, but also smaller things in intertidal pools, in rock pools, things that are making a living or making a home in the most incredibly inhospitable environments. Obviously, on land, you have a tremendous amount of life, from the smallest types of lichens and fungi and all different types of minute creatures, all the way through to the biggest. And South Africa, and particularly the Eastern Cape, has a lot of plants. And with plants, you also have an associated wide variety of vegetation types. Port Elizabeth's got around 60 different vegetation types alone, not only 5 biomes. And then in those different areas, there's just so many different creatures and different types of things associated with that. So you can, on a given hike, let's say you go and hike at a place like the Island Nature Reserve, you could see around 70 different tree species, but even you could also see around 300 different plant species, maybe around 50, 60 bird species, if not more. And then insects are all over the show. Fungi, there's plenty of fungi. So biodiversity just really refers to rich life, which is around every single corner. And
you are part of that.
We're all part of it.
Yes.
We're also part of it. And it's just, it's a big eye-opener. And it's just so cool to learn about it and share it and just interact with folk about that. And bring along a camera, take photographs.
And just being in nature.
Being in nature, use your senses. You'll find your whole well-being and sense of overall connectivity
Definitely,
enhanced. And
definitely.
it's
I've
that's
learned
cool.
it. You said you use your five senses when you were explaining how what nature means to you, and I'm taking that. I'm gonna go out there and feel. Not feel yet because I don't know what I'm gonna feel. Maybe listen and smell and yeah, just try to use all my five senses when I'm in nature. But that I will do. But I would like to say thank you so much for joining me on Trailblazers, for taking your time to be here with us on the wireless. We appreciate that.
Thank you so much. It's been a huge pleasure being here. I really appreciate you guys having me here, and maybe I'll see you again sometime.
Yes,
Thanks so much.
definitely. That was Graeme Pienaar talking everything nature and hiking guide. My name is Sim Nongauza, and this is Trailblazers.